Ah, Nerevar, come and make yourself comfortable, for today's spooky sermon shall be about our ever-present neighbors, the living dead, the undead, zombies, Draugr, reanimated skeletons, corpses and spirits and more. Call them what you will. There really isn't much lore about them. Necromantic and Daedric shenanigans in general, as well as some curses, will result in undead, and they come in as many shapes as the condition of the deceased. Of course, vampires are a type of undead, but I already covered those in my previous sermon. So let us begin from the lesser ones everyone knows about, skeletons. These spooky, scary skeletons are simply that. The reanimated bones of some dead creature could be any humanoid or animal and come in various forms depending on what kind of magic they are also affected by. They could be half-shadow, they could have extra death magic imbued into them, they could be flaming, they could be fully risen with their armor, all sorts of flavor for your picky needs, even funny ones. Soul Cairn has all the spicy varieties you may want. Wraiths, shades, knights and that kind of stuff. Pretty basic things, but if you are a more advanced necromancer, you can dabble with bone colossi, bone dragons, and bone Goliaths. Zombies are very much the same, but with some flesh remaining, usually meaning they are somewhat fresh, with the freshest ones being able to be disguised as living to anyone who isn't paying attention to their funny walk, lack of proper speech, smell of rot, and a very normal hunger for someone else's face. Honestly, I'd rather summon skeletons instead. They are faster, harder to hit, and are near immune to arrows and other piercing attacks. Never underestimate skeletons, Nerevar. But if you must have zombies, bone walkers are very dangerous ones with protruding spiky bones, and well, vampires technically should count as zombies too. Next come ghosts, the ectoplasmic form of the spirits of the dead. These ones require a slightly more complex trick, you see. One can't just go and summon a ghost out of thin air. Well, yeah, they are summoned out of thin air, but that's not what I mean. You need a spirit to summon the ghost from, unlike skeletons which are laying around literally everywhere. While bones and corpses are easy to obtain or make, one needs to tie the spirit to the mortal realm or summon it directly from whichever afterlife plane of oblivion it went to. Most come from Soul Cairn if they aren't obtained from mortals straight out of their bodies. You'd need to torture them, make their lives miserable, or somehow find one with heavy attachments or regrets. They are very useful when dealing with knights and orcs and anyone who relies on muscle, as their attacks will go through them, but are particularly weak to magic. Of course, we cannot talk about undead without talking about Draugr. You may be thinking, but Vorin, aren't Draugr just zombies, or at least considered mummies? And I'll have to correct your misunderstanding, my dear Nerevar, for Draugr are a unique kind of undead, or rather living dead. They are special creatures made via ancient Nord magic and rituals, and technically they aren't fully undead. They are more like mummified living creatures. Their souls are still there, and what makes them move isn't necromantic magic but actual life energy. They are still subject to all the inconveniences of the undead, like weakness to restoration, sun and fire magic, but the way they were made makes them more powerful and preserves them better. It also shackles them to their dragon priest masters, who are very much the same, or whoever didn't want them to ascend to Sovngarde out of spite. Is this how they honor the sixth house and the tribe unmourned? And well, while called vampires and not actually undead, my ash vampires do belong to this whole group. I'm quite frankly not entirely sure how this came to be, since they are some of my most loyal followers. Blessed by the heart, straight through me, Dagoth. It is a wonder how the blessing of a god could result in this, but if I had to make a guess, it would be because Lorcan is not actually alive and the energy from his heart comes post-mortem. Still, do not be confused. They are very much alive and kicking, and if you subscribe to my sermons, you can be an ash vampire too. Their bodies don't rot, and they can feel all the power of the heart alongside their unwavering loyalty to the sixth house and the tribe unmourned. Oh, but do not mistake them with ash spawn. Those are entirely different things. You see, when Bar-Dao finally fell from the sky and delivered karma and physics to that cesspit city of Vivec, the Red Mountain erupted. The thing is that the heart was never destroyed. It merely sank in the lava pool, and this meteoric impact caused tremors that damaged it. In the eruption, particles of the heart were thrown into the air alongside the clouds of ash we can see today. And where those fragments deposited formed a new kind of ore called heartstone, and the ash that landed around it formed magical beings using these stones as magical hearts. We can call it a kind of naturally occurring necromancy, although they are more like inorganic things than your traditional zombie since it's just ash, not flesh. But then again, why do they coincidentally rise as humanoids and display zombie behavior? Mysteries for good old Neloth to figure out. Always leave House Telvanni to deal with all the pointless problems no one cares about. Let's get back on track with proper undeads. Mummies are a powerful variant of undead. Much like the Draugr, they are better preserved than zombies and may even carry dreadful diseases with them. It is also a more formal way to honor the dead in many cultures. The Ashlanders, for example, mummify their dead. I wouldn't call it hygienic, though, and it requires a lot of preparation since you have to extract their organs without spilling anything, clean them up, fill them with salt, have the wrappings ready, and prepare a casket to hold the corpse and not let humidity or critters inside. Lots of alchemical things going on there too, and you know what I think about alchemy, Nerevar. Next are Liches. No, Nerevar, not leeches like the tribunal, who leech off the heart. Liches. You may think they are undead from any mention before, but capable of casting magic. And you'd be right, only with the difference that these ones preserved their consciousness and intellect in a whole piece. Undeath is one of many ways to become immortal, and in this case, you'll be fragmenting your soul in several parts and leaving your mind in your own decayed body. It's a very popular apotheosis for necromancers. It's very cheap to do, does not involve any daedra, and has been done since times immemorial by even the Aelids. But well, the unlife may not be for everyone, seeing how most of them go insane after a few hundred years. Can you imagine how it is to live without breathing, being in a state of hunger but not needing to eat, of insomnia but not really needing to sleep, or forever thinking and being aware of yourself through the magic that sustains your form? True apotheosis is attaining godhood, like I, Dagoth Ur. And lastly, in a different category, we can find flesh atronachs, or anything done with flesh magic, really. As gruesome as it sounds, they are golems of flesh, meat, and organs magically shaped and stitched into a humanoid form. The benefit of this is that the flesh will not decay, or maybe it will, but it will certainly be enhanced to the point of working and feeling like actual proper muscle, making these things really damn strong. Look at the flesh colossi, for example. These things are quite literally meat siege engines. Undead come in many more forms, shapes, and names, all with their own unique abilities, but I'm no necromancer, and necromancy itself is something only Enwas who lack originality and talent do anyway. Why would anyone need to raise a stinky corpse when you can just go to your local house dress store and buy farm tools? What fools they are. Let us finish the sermon with this note, as I have to go prepare the ashyam candies. As always, remember to honor the sixth house and the tribe unmourned by raising your thumbs, subscribing to my sermons, and sharing your thoughts in the parchment below. I thank my inspiring and loyal patrons for making my sermons possible, and special gratitude to my adoring fans, Connor Runda and Tonya Davis.